Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Music Masterpieces. And today we are heading back to the eastern side of the States and to an artist who's probably one of the most famous New Yorkers, Long Islanders, Cold Spring Harbor residents. And I've given it away with the last places. This was an album by today's choice, Billy Joel. Now, how hard is it to choose a song by Billy? Really difficult. I do have my favourites, but my top 3 is probably This Night, This Is the Time, but my number 1 is Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, and the version I've chosen of this today is a recording from when this was shown in the UK on the BBC in 1984 from his Wembley show. You can see quite a lot of the Wembley show footage from Billy's own channel, his own YouTube channel. But strangely, this song isn't on it. And I don't know why, because it's the standout moment in the gig. Maybe Billy thinks that there is a better version that he's chosen from a different gig. This is the best version of Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, live with an incredible lineup of band. Let's start listening to it and we'll have a discussion as we go.
A bottle of white, a bottle of red, perhaps a bottle of rosé instead. We'll get a table near the street in our old familiar place, you and I, face to face. A bottle of red, a bottle of white. It all depends upon your appetite. I'll meet you anytime you want in our Italian restaurant.
Wow. Mark Rivera on sax.
Things are okay with me these days. Got a good job, I got a good office, got a good wife, got a good life, and the family is fine.
What people don't know, or if you see the gig, you'll see the way in which the band really pulls together in this, and just the tightness of this group, the tightness of the way in which they'd obviously been on the road for a while. This was the Innocent Man tour, so I would say probably Billy didn't get any bigger than the Innocent Man at that time, and setting himself up internationally. I don't think there's a better album that Billy's done than The Innocent Man. But, I mean, you may have a difference of opinion. You may have your favourite songs. You may have your favourite tracks. But I think this lineup in the band, which is Mark Rivera on sax, Russell Javers and David Brown on guitars, Doug Stegmeyer on bass, David Rosenthal on keyboards, and Liberty DeVito, highly underrated drummer, on the drums. And sadly, there's a few of those guys that are no longer with us. But how great that they get to live on in people's memories through playing live and being recorded live, and how lucky are we to be able to enjoy it.
Just touched long ago, lost weight I did not know. You never looked so nice after so much time. You remember those days hanging out at the village green? There's a little boots, leather jackets, and tight blue jeans. Oh, double down, man, and watch play the song about New Orleans. Cold beer,
You can hear the New York Affordables in the background there, the horn section, and I think they lift this track.
Steadies and the king and the queen of the prom, riding around with the car top down and the radio on. Nobody looks any finer. There's more of a hit at the Parkway Diner. We never knew we could walk for the man out of life. Surely Brenda and Eddie would always know how to survive. In the summer of '75, they decided the marriage would be at the end of July. People said they were crazy. Did you know that you're much too lazy? And Eddie could never afford to live that kind of life. Oh, but there we were waiting when the day by. Well, they got an apartment with deep-cloud carpets and a couple of paintings of Sears. They were a bed that they bought for the rent they saved for a couple of years. Started to fight when the money got tight. You just didn't count on the tears.
So it kind of goes now into this. There's kind of three parts to this song, but it kind of goes into this section now where they're just all playing their instruments like nobody's business, and then it just builds up and builds up and builds up to this fantastic crescendo, where every single instrument is almost like being played at its absolute max. It's just fantastic. Billy's really going at the keyboard, at the piano here.
You can never go back there again. You had it already by the summer of '75. The height of the low to the end of the show for the rest of their lives. They couldn't go back to the greases. The best they could do was pick up their pieces. We always knew they would both find a way to get by. Oh, that's all I heard about Brenda and Eddie. Getting it more than I told you already. And here we are with Brenda and Eddie.
I'm just going to take you back a little bit there to that build up to just all the instruments playing together and that beautiful fall away and to the beautiful playing by Billy and just the way in which the whole band just soften and go very, very quiet while the piano just comes back in. Let's have a listen to that again.
The show for the rest of their lives. They couldn't go back to the greases. Best they could do was pick up their pieces. We always knew they would both find a way to get by.
Starting to build.
That's all I heard about Brenda and Eddie. Getting it more than I told you already. And here we are with Brenda and Eddie. Bye.
Here it comes. There's that horn section again. Get ready for Liberty on the drums.
Meet you anytime you want in our Italian restaurant.
This is the end bit. Well, I love that keyboard. You can see, apologies there for some of the quality in the recording. It's a real shame. I think I did see a YouTube video which has got like the whole gig. So I think you can find a YouTube video with the whole gig on it. But it's very, very patchy visually. But if anybody ever gets to see that proper recording, it's absolutely incredible. And I don't think there's a better song I've heard played live than that. I was very lucky. I got to see him. He came back in 1987. I got to see him. He played for over a couple of hours and at Wembley again. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. We didn't have phones and recording devices and anything like that in those days to record it for ourselves, like people do now with their phones and stuff. And I know there's a big thing with people and their phones, but sometimes just when you go to a gig, I don't know if this happens to you, but many gigs I've been to over the years, I come away and I think, oh yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. And then a couple of days later, it's kind of gone. The feeling remains, but the individual parts, the individual sections of the gig are gone. And so when you see it on YouTube, when you see people that have recorded stuff on YouTube, you really appreciate that they've done that, and it gives people maybe who can't go or couldn't get tickets a chance to have that same feeling. And with the way in which phones are in, their recordings are improving, albeit that if you go to a heavy gig, it's much more difficult to pick out the guitars. But with the way the phones are improving when they're recording, you can get a very, very decent memory on those phones. So that's it. If you could like and subscribe, that would be absolutely great. Thank you for joining me today. And I'll see you in episode 4.